Hello, welcome to Flowers for Algernon, Day 1 reading section. This book is by Daniel Keyes. So first, let's start with some exposition. And if you remember, exposition is like the background and the setting and all of that. So this is a story that takes place in the 1960s. So around the same time The Outsiders took place. It's about Charlie Gordon. There's a picture of him from the movie around the same time. Charlie Gordon is a 37-year-old man who has some trouble learning and he would like to learn better. So he's going to try to get this operation that could make him smarter. That's the whole premise of the book. The book is written in a journal format. So he writes it and you can see his difficulties with spelling and grammar and understanding things around him. So that's the background. All right, are you guys ready? Here we go. Progress Report 1, March 1965. And here's a picture of Charlie. Dr. Strauss says I should write down what I think and everything that happens to me from now on. I don't know why, but he says it's important, so they will see if they will use me. I hope they use me. Miss Kenyon says maybe they can make me smart. I want to be smart. My name is Charlie Gordon. I am 37 years old. I have nothing more to write now, so I will close for today. Progress Report 2, March 6th. I had a test today. I think I failed it. And I think maybe now they won't use me. What happened is a nice young man was in the room and he had some white cards and ink spilled all over them. He said, Charlie, what do you see on this card? I was very scared, even though I had my rabbit's foot in my pocket, because when I was a kid, I always failed tests in school and I spilled ink too. So here's a picture of the kind of test Charlie's given where the test person would present the patient with a card with ink on it. Then the patient was required to say what kind of shapes they saw in the ink shape. The test person would then write down the results and see what they could learn from about the patient's personality. This was super common in the 60s and 70s. Right, back to the book. I told him I saw an ink blot. He said yes, and it made me feel good. I thought that was all, but when I got up to go, he said, Charlie, we are not through yet. And then I don't remember so good, but he wanted me to say what was in the ink. I didn't see nothing in the ink, but he said there was pictures there. Other people saw some pictures. I couldn't see any pictures. I really tried. I held the card up close and then far away. Then I said if I had my glasses, I could see better. I usually only wear my glasses in the movies or TV, but I said they are in the closet in the hall. I got them. Then I said, let me see that card again. I bet I'll find it now. I tried hard, but I only saw the ink. I told him maybe I need new glasses. He wrote something down on a paper, and I got scared of failing the test. I told him it was a very nice ink blot with little points all around the edges. He looked very sad, so that wasn't it. I said, please let me try again. I'll get it in a few minutes because I'm not too fast sometimes. I'm a slow reader, too, in Miss Kenyon's class for slow adults, but I'm trying really hard. He gave me a chance with another card that had two kinds of ink spilled on it, red and blue. He was very nice and talked slow like Miss Kenyon does, and he explained it to me that it was a Rorschach, which Charlie writes like that. He said people see things in the ink. I said, show me where. He said, think. I told him I think an ink blot, but that wasn't right either. He said, what does it remind you? Pretend something. I closed my eyes for a long time to pretend. I told him I pretended that a fountain pen, which is a pen like this, was leaking ink all over a tablecloth. I don't think I passed the Rorschach test. Progress Report 3, March 7th. Dr. Strauss and Dr. Niemer say it don't matter about the ink blots. They said that maybe they will still use me. I said Miss Kenyon never gave me tests like that one, only spelling and reading. They said Miss Kenyon told that I was her bestest pupil in the adult night school because I tried the hardest and I really wanted to learn. They said, how come you went to the adult night school all by yourself, Charlie? How did you find it? I said I asked people and somebody told me where I should go to learn to read and spell good. They said, why did you want to? I told them because all my life I wanted to be smart, not dumb. But it's very hard to be smart. They said, it'll probably be temporary. I said, yes, Miss Kenyon told me. I don't care if it hurts. So let's just pause here for a second and look at that. Charlie was writing down, they told him, it'll probably be temporary. I fixed all the spelling errors, by the way, guys. I said, yes, Miss Kenyon told me I don't care if it hurts. Given Charlie's response that he says, I don't care if it hurts, what do you think his understanding is of the whole operation to be smart and the fact that it could be temporary? Something to think about. All right. We're moving on here. Later, I had more crazy tests today. The nice lady who gave it to me told me the name, and I asked her, how do you spell it so I can write it in my progress report? Thematic apperception test. I don't know the first two words, but I do know what test means. You got to pass it or you get bad marks. That means grades. This test looked easy because I could see the pictures. So this is what a thematic apperception test involves. Only this time, she didn't want me to tell her the pictures. That mixed me up. She said, make up stories about the people in the pictures. I told her, how can you tell stories about people you never met? I said, why should I make up lies? I never tell lies anymore because I always get caught. She told me this test and the other one, the raw shock, was for getting personality. I laughed so hard. I said, how can you get that thing from ink blots and photos? She got sore and put her pictures away. I don't care. It was silly. Guess I failed that test too. So that woman had told Charlie, and I fixed the typos again, the spelling errors. She told me this test and the other one, the raw shock, was for getting personality. I laughed so hard. I said, how can you get that thing from ink blots? I believe that the woman and Charlie are having kind of two different ideas in their head of what they're talking about. And that's important to think about. The woman is trying to assess what type of personality Charlie has. And Charlie thinks that if you pass these tests, you can get more of a personality. And he thinks that's silly. So that kind of gives you a good example of how Charlie's mind works compared to the world. Later, some men in white coats took me to a different part of the hospital and they gave me a game to play. It was like a race with a white mouse. They called the mouse Algernon. Algernon was in a box with a lot of twists and turns, like all kinds of walls, and they gave me a pencil and paper with lines and lots of boxes. They said it was amazed. This is what he's talking about. And that Algernon and me had the same amazed to do. I didn't see how we could have the same amazed if Algernon had a box and I had a paper, but I didn't say nothing. Anyway, there wasn't time because the race started. One of the men had a watch. He was trying to hide so I wouldn't see it. So I tried not to look, and that made me nervous. Anyway, that test made me feel worse than all the others because they did it over 10 times with different amazed, and Algernon won every time. I didn't know that mice were so smart. Maybe that's because Algernon is a white mice. Maybe white mice are smarter than the other mice I see. Progress report for March 8th. They're going to use me. I'm so excited I can hardly write. Dr. Niemer and Dr. Strauss had an argument about it first. Dr. Niemer was in the office when Dr. Strauss brought me in. Dr. Niemer was worried about using me, but Dr. Strauss told him Miss Kenyon recommended me the best from all the people who she was teaching. I like Miss Kenyon because she's a very smart teacher. And she said, Charlie, you're going to have a second chance. If you volunteer for this experiment, you might get smart. They don't know if it will be permanent, but there's a chance. That's why I said, okay, even when I was scared, because she said it was an operation. She said, don't be scared, Charlie. You've done so much with so little. I think you deserve it most of all. So I got scared when Dr. Niemer and Dr. Strauss argued about it. Dr. Strauss said I had something that was very good. He said I had a good motivation. I never knew I had that. I felt proud when he said that. He said that not everybody with an IQ, not sure what that is, had that thing. I don't know what it is, the motivation, or where I got it, but he said Algernon has it too. Algernon's motivation is the cheese they put in his box, but it can't be that because I didn't eat any cheese this week. And he told Dr. Niemer something I didn't understand, so while they were talking, I wrote down some of the words. So in the book, guys, this part has a lot of words like blurred out, or not blurred out. Charlie could only understand the beginning sounds of the words and he didn't even know the words. So first I'm going to read you the way he wrote it, and then I'm going to tell you what it means. He said, Dr. Niemer, I know Charlie is not what you had in mind as the first of your new breed of intellect, Superman, but people of his low ment are host and uncoop, and they are usually dull, apt, and hard to teach. So that's really confusing. So what they were really saying is, I know, so Dr. Strauss said, Dr. Niemer, I know Charlie is not what you had in mind as the first of your new breed of intellectual Superman. First breed of intellectual Superman. But most people of his low mental ability are hostile, that means unfriendly, and uncooperative, don't work well with others. They are usually dull, apathetic, don't care much about anything, and hard to reach. But Charlie has a good nature. He's interested and eager to please. So this is super interesting. Here's the quote, and I filled in all the missing words. Dr. Strauss is saying that people with a low mental ability are usually mean and hard to work with. They also don't really care about life. I want you guys to think about that. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What does this view tell us about Dr. Strauss, and tell us about Dr. Strauss's relationship with Charlie, who's kind of in that category? Dr. Niemer said, remember, he will be the first human being ever to have his intellect tripled by surgical means. So that's what the surgery is going to do, theoretically. Dr. Strauss said, exactly. Look at how well he learned to read and write for his low mental age. It's a great achievement, it's as great of an achievement as you or I learning Einstein's theory of relativity without any help. That shows the intense motivation. It's comparatively a tremendous achievement. I say we use Charlie. I didn't get all the words, but it sounded like Dr. Strauss was on my side and the other one, Dr. Niemer, wasn't. Then Dr. Niemer nodded. He said, all right, maybe you're right. We will use Charlie. When he said that, I got so excited. I jumped up and shook his hand for being so good to me. I told him, thank you, Doc. You won't be sorry for giving me a second chance. And I meant it like I told him. After the operation, I'm going to try to be smart. I'm going to try awful hard. Progress Report 5, March 10th. I'm scared. Lots of nurses and the people who gave me the test came in to bring me candy and wish me luck. I hope I have luck. I got my rabbit's foot and my lucky penny. Only a black cat crossed me when I was coming to the hospital. Dr. Strauss says, don't be superstitious, Charlie. This is science. Anyway, I'm keeping my rabbit's foot with me. I asked Dr. Strauss if I'll beat Algernon in the race after the operation, and he said maybe. If the operation works, I'll show that mouse that I can be as smart as he is, maybe smarter. And then I'll be able to read better and spell the words good and know lots of things and be like other people. I want to be smart like other people. If it works permanent, they will make everybody smart all over the world. They didn't give me anything to eat this morning. I don't know what that eating has to do with getting smart. I'm very hungry, and Dr. Niemer took away my box of candy. That Dr. Niemer is a grouch. Dr. Strauss says I can have it back after the operation. You can't eat before an operation. Progress Report 6, March 15th. So if we look back, Progress Report 5 was March 10th, so this is 5 days later after the operation. The operation didn't hurt. He did it while I was sleeping. They took off the bandages from my head so I can make a progress report. Dr. Niemer, who looked at some of my other ones, said I spelled progress wrong and told me how to spell it. Report 2. I got to try and remember that. I have a very bad memory for spelling. Dr. Strauss says it's okay to tell about all the things that happened to me, but he says I should tell more about what I feel and what I think. When I told him I don't know how to think, he said try. All the time when the bandages were on my eyes, I tried to think. Nothing happened. I don't know what to think about. Maybe if I ask him, he will tell me how I can think now that I'm supposed to get smart. What do smart people think about? Fancy things, I suppose? I wish I knew some fancy things already. Progress Report 7, March 19th. Guess what, guys? That's this week. Oh my gosh. Nothing is happening. I had lots of tests and different kinds of races with Algernon. I hate that mouse. He always beats me. Dr. Strauss says I got to play those games, and he said sometime I got to take those tests over again. Those ink blots are stupid, and those pictures are stupid. I like to draw a picture of a man and a woman, but I won't make up lies about people. I got a headache from trying to think so much. I thought Dr. Strauss was my friend, but he don't help me. He don't tell me what to think or even when I'll get smart. Miss Kinnean didn't come to see me. I think writing these progress reports are stupid, too. So now that we're at the end of day 1 reading, I want you to think about specifically how Charlie changed from the beginning to the end of today's section. When I mean change, I mean not just like because of the surgery, or maybe because of the surgery, but his outlook, his relationships with other people, how has that been altered from the start of the story until the end? Thanks for listening to my TED Talk.